Okay, welcome everyone again. Sorry for the issue with the Zoom link, but glad that at least a few of you could make it. Today we're gonna be discussing code analysis. This is the XAFer community stand-up. We do this the second Thursday of every month. And I'm amazed, Hoche, we have been doing this for, I think that since March 2020, something like that. It has been
It's been a while already.
Yeah, we have done a few of these. So today I'm in Microsoft Ignite in the middle of the conference, but I didn't wanna miss this, so I just joining in for a while, saying hi. We're gonna do a short meetup today, but I think that this is important. I think this code diagnostic will help a lot of the beginner developers. So, and we're gonna be discussing also our experience with all this error that now SAF is trying to let us know beforehand, so we avoid those common mistakes. So with that one, I'm gonna let, as always, Hoche introduce himself. And from there, basically, we're gonna create a brand new SAF application with Net6. So we're gonna be using Blazor. That is what everyone wants to use. And then we're gonna review what are all these code diagnostics and basically how to enable if you're not, because by default it's already come in the .NET 6 project when we're creating a new wizard. But if you want to disable it, how do you enable in all versions? Of course, it's for Visual Studio 2019 and up, so you cannot use it with anything after that, before that. But I think that is really nice. And we also had some, and it's also an evolving world because we also had a few false positives. So this is still a work in progress, but I think there is a work in progress in the right direction. So Hoche, as always, introduce yourself, and then let's go through this documentation, create a project, and go from there.
Hi everyone, my name is Hoche Ojeda. I work for Sari. I'm a DevExpress MVP, and basically we do XAF and XPO and now Entity Framework 24/7. So I guess you know me from the posts or from the videos, maybe. And well, like, it's good to have you all here.
Perfect. Okay, Hoche, so right here, I'm in the middle of the conference. I don't even have my mouse, so I'm gonna put it on you. Let's share your screen, create a new, brand new SAF Blazor project with .NET 6 and everything. And then let's start. We'll show the package that is already enabled. So, and then we're going to start going through all of these code diagnostics.
Okay, so hold on, let me start the studio.
I really like there is a SAF, like a community member that he named himself SAF. So that's been involved with it.
Yeah, I mean, why didn't we come up with that for ourselves or something like that? Because there is always one like GitHub handle from the guy who did the OData client, simple OData client. His username is object, which I think is super cool. So SAF static analyzer. Okay. So netcore.
And while you're creating that, Hoche, I want to say right here in Microsoft Ignite, almost a lot of people, almost all when, you know, we have two type of attendance. There is the Office 365 Power Platform kind of attendant. Everyone else that is in the development side is talking about Blazor.
Yeah, to be honest, it's like, I don't see the need for something like Maui if you can use Blazor, in the sense that maybe the object model, but web like HTML has always been the pattern to follow regarding UI creation. So
I know, Hoche, I talked yesterday with Billy Hollis, and he could make a strong case about Xamarin. So he was telling about the
No,
extensibility,
okay.
UI, the design tools. So I think that both has its place. Use what you
No,
like and what makes you
and
productive.
of course, but you have to think that SAML is a progression of HTML. Is tag language, right? In the end, first was HTML, then you have something like SAML.
Yeah, and
Okay.
C# is a progression of Java.
Well, yes, that's true. So let's see. Where do we go from here?
So first show that the NuGet package is installed by default, because the main thing is, like, if you want to enable code diagnostic, you need to make sure that you have the package for the, and let's say take a look at the documentation.
Code analysis. Okay, so I think that if it's enabled by default, we can start doing it with some examples.
Yeah, and the other thing, if you are in 2019 Visual Studio and you have an older project, add that package, and that should be enough to get you.
The question is this because I'm in 2022 for a studio, or is the version of XAF? I think it's XAF,
I think
right?
I think that is both. I actually not 100% sure now, and I will double check right now. But I think that I think that Visual Studio 2019 doesn't even see Net 7. It doesn't even see the latest .NETs. So at some point, you have to be from 22 and up. Don't quote me on that in case I'm mistaken.
Yeah, to be honest, one of these days I decided to do, after we met James Montemagno, he said something like that, something like, I'm always in the preview release. So everything's broken, but everything new is working. So, okay, let's see what we have here. Like, we added just a persistent class, and I think this should be an error if I don't have this. Let's see how it goes. And I see it. So see, this is the magic of this. This is something like it's really common when you generate classes. The first thing that you miss the constructor, it needs to be this constructor. You can generate the normal one. Let's see. And let's see how it.
But can you increase the size of the a little bit? Yeah.
This one is tricky to increase, but anyway, so here all the persistent objects are required to have the default constructor of an XPO object. So here I have a constructor, but it's not working. And if I paste the right constructor, the error will disappear. And to be honest, it's working faster than I expected, in the sense that I thought that I need to compile or something, and I have not compiled even once, and it's already executing.
It's
so
instant.
It's kind of really, really fast. Yep.
And okay, one thing about that is all of these are coming from the XPO best practices. If you check the XPO best practices, I think this is the first one. Don't put a construction without the session parameter, because that's what XPO is using. So, Joche, another thing here, can you put the constructor private? See if it gives you.
Oh, let's see, yes. That can be tricky. Let's see, private. Oh no, we have two already, so it's okay. Let's put this private. Because sometimes I use mine protected.
And you see it right away.
And let's see if protected works. Because sometimes when I don't want to have a class in the new object view controller, I put it protected. And that used to be a trick that I used, but it's now captured by the static analyzer. So I will need to redo my tricks.
The interesting thing there, no, but you can always disable the analysis.
What were you saying? Because I wanted to do the next step. It's like, this is going to break some of my tricks. So I need to learn how to disable this situation.
When you do it on purpose, that's perfectly fine. But I have definitely seen developers that they have missed the public on their construction, and then they are like, why my class is not showing on the new? Why my class is like, hey, you forgot to have your public constructor, because SAF will actually go there and by reflection get everything that he can and put it there.
To be honest, that's like super nice, because, well, I can disable it, because as you said, maybe if I did it on purpose, it's different than it just happened. So in this case, I wanted to do that because I like that behavior. It's like, I don't want to show something in new, I put it protected. So I guess I will have to use something like this in this case. And if you have another solution, you also have to do this because maybe it's working already for you. And then you will think, why do I have errors now? I didn't have errors before. So well,
I like when you disable it that tell you, hey, do this correctly, implement it correctly. So if you are not doing it that way, it's a intentional thing. Because you're getting the message right there.
And to be honest, I think that there are several ways to disable this. For example, well, a few things. I kind of don't like this syntaxes, but I think that there are several ways to do it. And also, the thing that I noticed is that, well, I was Googling for this, but these are in the documentation, I think, these numbers. So you can easily, let me try to Google that.
No, actually, Hochi, I send you a link. Open it that one.
Yeah, no. The thing is that I have so many links open. So I just Googled that. And
yeah,
see,
just Google XAFers.
The thing is that most people will not go to the documentation. You remember the article because we were talking about that and it was the topic of this meeting. But in the end, people will copy that error, put it on Google, and it's there. So that's the flow that you want to see.
And actually, let's follow it. This is SAF 0001. Let's go to SAF 002 and let's go through the whole list.
Okay,
let's
so
see it. The documentation have improved greatly. And
let's see.
Maybe they.
Yeah, I go back to 001. Let's
right
click here. It's easier. Okay, so should not be. Oh, another one that everything that I'm using is wrong. I do this often. Business class property should not be overridden. Okay, so let's give it a try with that. So let's do a new persistent object. So XPS name and virtual. Well, but no, public virtual.
Let's take a look at the documentation, Hoshi. Let's do it.
Yeah, hold on, where were we? Here.
Scroll down, let's see.
Ah, they have the invalid case.
Yeah.
So, okay, virtual, this is an override, and this is new. All of them, I do them. Remember that I even used to teach this part, like, what's the difference between override something and do new? But well, let's see. So in this case, okay, this is inheriting from this. And this property, how to fix that? Without, like, well, maybe the thing is that I do it on purpose, so I kind of know the behavior that I want to get out of that. Maybe this will be more handy for someone who is new. So because how to fix it, you just don't do it. So let's see what this analyzer says. Well, but this is a warning only. It doesn't show like as an error. So let's suppress it. So, okay, I like this suppression better than this one. So, well, we have to wait to suppress it. I guess you can use a solution wide. I see that there is another file, another option there. So let's go to 003. This one, I don't know. Maybe I'm using all the words.
But like they like the good thing about that, if you go to documentation, you scroll up for a little bit in the 002 before we move to the next one. You can go to that first link up that says, can I override properties? And there is the whole explanation there. And they definitely know that overriding property is something that is useful and you can use it sometimes. It's just that in some cases, it's when you are like abusing that and you are not doing it, like knowing what to expect, and you click on it. you will see that they have the whole explanation there, why they are not recommended that, and like do it in your own approach, create your own property, do everything there, and then I do believe that sometimes when you try to be so modular and you are just doing a project for yourself, it's an overkill. If you're doing a library, if you're doing something that is going to be used, you want to be having a lot of those flexibility.
Yeah.
If not,
and maybe, to be honest, maybe you can get away with it, but it's a hint that there is something that you should not do. So you will, at least you will have your eyes open for that. So let's go back and let's do 003. Business classes should be public. Of course, this is also a must. So let's see. This one. Well, if this cannot be protected, well, let's do what we find really often in some other. It's internal, but that constructor should be public. Well, I think that in here I'm already having like some like collisions, because here is showing me the constructor problem. So let's make this public. And now it's showing me that the class should be public, but this is a warning. So it's not that bad as the private constructor, for example. So again, let's fix it somehow. So suppress.
come on, Jorge, we're supposed to do it right, not suppress everyone.
No, the thing is that I want to have it there to see, I mean, to put it and then suppress it to know that it's there, right? That it means something, that is this error exact. But is in this case, did this create a suppression file here? But I think this is global. No, it's exactly for that one. That's nice. But you're right. I'm going to delete this. And I'm going to suppress it also again, but I'm going to suppress it here so we know. And this one I like. Attribute. Okay. So let's go to the next one. We're on fire today. It's easy to write.
Now that I'm thinking about the overriding properties, which I think that's a hard thing for ORMs, because if you think about, you have a layer of classes and they have to do the tables on the database. When you start overriding, where are they putting that column? I think that it becomes tricky.
Well, like to be honest, I will do it like in, maybe if I want to override the method, the get or set, something like that. But again, that's also something tricky to do. And I don't know why well, I get those modifiers are the same for methods. So you can use it in methods. And then I guess long time ago when I used to teach that, and like object-oriented programming, I did it with methods, not with properties, because to be honest, to override a property kind of doesn't make sense. You will define the same. Maybe you will change types, and then it's tricky because what do you do with that? It's a float and you put it in a double, or what? So, okay, this is the same case with the controller, right? Constructor. So this is invalid code, so no constructor for this. And okay, this one is parameters. This one is tricky because I would think that this is exactly the same as something like this that get generated on runtime. But let's see how it goes. So this studio is here. So let's add a constructor. A constructor, view controller, sorry. So
and I also believe, Jorge, all of these code diagnostics are coming from support center requests. So believe me, I think that at some point they say we have these many people that have had this issue, these many people that have asked for the same thing that we have fixed. Too many people we have had to tell them, hey, put this public, put this here. So at some point it's like, let's do some code diagnostics so we can relieve or support them.
To be honest, it kind of makes sense if you see it that way. I cannot imagine how they measure that. I guess they do have like tools to track all those things. But yeah, it has to come from the support center. And I think that is, if you're producing libraries, it's kind of worth it to work in make static analyzers than to increase your support cost for some constructor that is missing. That will take 1 hour at least to go to all the flow. Like I download the zip, I see it, I understand what they wrote. So I guess in that sense, it makes sense to put time and effort in something like a static analyzer if you're a library creator. Okay, so this is supposed to be invalid, but this is not being catched. So why is that? So in the invalid case, it's a controller without constructor. So I don't have a constructor in that case. Or well,
I think, Joche, even if that's commented out, that shouldn't be in the example here in the documentation. They are telling you just put a private constructor without the public, because that's what they have there. And that will come with the,
yes,
that will give
because I think that well, if
you said now
yes,
and if you see this 004, so even if they have it commented out on the documentation, is because I think that they were making in the same class several.
To be honest, I think that this one is kind of hard to catch in the sense that if you don't put anything, it means that there is an implicit parameterless constructor in there.
Mm-hmm.
And here we have it, but we change the modifier. So that's the thing. In the case of the persistent object is different, because if you comment it out, what will be generated is a parameterless constructor, which is not the one that you want. So
it's public, and it's public also.
Yes, so this is kind of a different case. It looks almost the same, but it's not. So,
but what I mean, Joche, if you go to documentation, I think that we should tell them that. I think that is a little confusing for them to have all of this commented out. So this should not be commented out, because you see it's telling you this is the error. So this one is the same. It should not be commented out. And right here, they are telling you they are passing to the controller. They ask the application provider, and it will tell you dependency injection is not supported. So
you know, and I wonder if we get the other case around, because well, they're supposed to look for the constructor. So let's see. So let's make this public. This is another thing that I do often. Then okay, this one kind of, okay, this is the one who's going to be executed. And I guess if you use this, it means that you have modified the application to use this constructor, because you never instantiate the constructor by yourself. It always do it by reflection. It looks for all the classes with the same of controller, and then it looks for the parameterless constructor and instantiate that. So it means that if you want to instantiate something like this, you have to do it by hand. You have to override or recreate the controller manager. So this case is valid. See, it's not a problem. And I guess this should be something like this. What was the syntax in here? This. Yeah, so if you want to have something like this, it means that you have your own controller manager and you're looking for this constructor. But this case is kind of valid somehow. But anyway, interesting. So
Yeah, the case that is not valid if you put inside there an interface like SAF application provider and try to let them create the
so
instance for you.
thinking that the dependency injection will inject it there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to 005. Controller class should be public.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense, but let's try to make it private. And I guess in here we need to go here. Well, this doesn't have modifier. Yeah, and see, it's working. It took a little bit, but so let's go back to being public. So here. Okay, so that was an easy one. And to be honest, it's like they did it well in the order, because this should be SAF 001 or XPO 001 for the exception type. So it's good. So this one is interesting. Properties decorated with the rule required attribute should be of nullable or reference type.
And that makes sense, Jorge. Is you have, I don't know, an integer, it will be 0 by default. So it will, even if you have required, like.
So even if you have required, the default is 0 and it's always full, so it's not executing.
So it's not doing nothing that rule required.
To be honest, Javier, this kind of like makes me like itchy, because I really don't like nullable numbers, because I always assume that if it's an int, there is a 0 there at least. But
then you put another,
I was thinking just this morning, why would you use that?
Use another validation to say it have to be bigger than 0. Than the 0.
Yes, yes, it kind of makes sense if you say it like that, because this, to be honest, just to see it, I don't like it. So of course it's a matter of preference, but just to see it, I don't like it. But let's test it anyway. So let's do, well, this I can just copy here. And I don't know, Javier, if it's me, but you're seeing that they have, I don't know if they do it just for the examples, but the properties they use auto-implemented properties. I don't know if it means something.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming in the next version of SAF. There will not be a need to have set property value.
After like 20 years, I will just do it anyway. So, okay. So let's put that in here.
But you see, Oche, this is what I like. There is an inconsistency in the documentation. In this one, you can copy, paste it in your code, you're good to go. In the other one, the whole block is commented out. So I think that will be confusion for some developers. So I will definitely let the documentation team know about that.
So let's see this one. The type missing constructor, which is this one, already contains a definition for test property. Do we have it already? Oh, well, the private field was there, and here I don't need it. So let's see, no hands. No, but this one didn't.
Yeah, this one is fine because you have the nullable. If you delete the
you're right,
question mark, now it should give it to you.
Yeah.
You see?
To be honest, that's amazing. It's like you just type something or delete something and boom, an error. Not even have to compile.
I think the next steps is like we have to do those code analysis for things that we do all the time. Tell our devs, hey, don't forget to use our base class. Hey, don't forget to use something. That would be nice.
To be honest, it kind of makes sense. I wonder how difficult it is to make a static analyzer. Okay, so let's move. That one, yes, I will use a different rule because the nullable thing is not my thing. Let's see, set the delay attribute Set delay attribute update modify on property true. Oh, so delay property.
Scroll down, let's see the valid one.
Yep.
So delay it and true is the last one.
This one.
Yeah, right here.
But also this one.
Mhm.
Well, all of these are the opposite of this one. So they declare the property. In this case, they have it. This should be the private field. And then they don't put the decoration. So I want to see the wrong case working. So copy this one completely.
Yeah, that the main issue there, Jorge, is like when you don't have that attribute set to true, the update statement that is get sent includes everything, not only the modified value. So when you set that to true, only the modified values are included in the statement for update. So it's just something about performance. And to test that, we need to enable the profiler. So
yes, well, I mean, they're getting more complex and more complex. So that's kind of good. Yes, so I guess this is, we can only comment on this, but then let's move.
By the way, if you think about this, is one of the good ones. The other one so far has been kind of like makes sense. In this case, you need to know a little bit more, and the idea here is every time that you're using that delay, add that true to the modify, so it only change send what it got modified.
To be honest, well, this, I don't know. This will pop less often than the other ones, because also for me, I see that a lot of people who comes into XAF, maybe they are also programmer, beginner as programmers, because it's like when you see something like XAF, you can go and take the Windows Form course in Pluralsight, and it's like drag this, put the binding, blah, 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 and it feels like it takes forever. So maybe you just skip all of that. You just do object-oriented programming, and then you just want to do an application, and you get the license of XAF, or you have the free trial. And so the errors like no constructor and things like that, I think, as you said, like they come from the support center. Those must be the really most common in general. This one, I don't see it likely to happen. So I guess that's why it's the 10th, not the first one. So let's see here.
And this one is easy because every time that you add a delay property, you should add the get property delay and the set property delay. But if you miss that, it will let you know. So if you're using the normal set property value, it will let you know, hey, remember that you have to use the delay, get delay property value. So
but this is how will this change the behavior in general? Because to be honest, it's like well, in the really old documentation, they don't say too much about the get delay property value and set delay property value.
But they always say, if you use this attribute, you need to use this. If you use the attribute, you need to use this get delay property value, set delay property value. So right there, I believe it's a matter like if you are not using those get delay and set property delay, basically it's not doing, you're not taking advantage of the delay attribute to avoid to not bring everything. So
because like there is something that of course you might not remember, but there used to be something called DevExpress TV before YouTube, and they have I remember that video because it was Oliver Storm and Gary Short, and they explained the delayed attribute and how you can use it and why do you need it. And so if you were writing XAF at that moment and you saw that, then you saw the set and get value, and I guess this came later. So sometimes it's like if you're really all writing XAF, you might have some bad practices from the past. Like this is showing me a lot in general. Like that, well, this is what you need to write in some, I mean, in some way, this is the code that is correct in the end. Because I hear it, I think that most people will assume that with the attribute is more than enough, but maybe not. You need the, well, not actually, you need this, because otherwise it will be an error. So, but this is interesting. I never saw it that way. Okay, number 12.
I like this one, and I have been one of the. I think that I was in Envelope showing before some part of the
I
code,
remember that.
and I did the create object space without a type parameter. I think that a lot of us have done it at some point, and the issue there is that it works fine like 80% of the time, but because right now we have non-persistent object spaces, we have additional object spaces, we have like XPO object spaces. There are cases where you are asking to create an object space, and the object space that it returns is not the one that you're expecting to. So the way to fix that is to be explicit and tell them, hey, this is the type of object that I want to create, modify, or something. Give me the object space that is associated, that belong with that object. So yeah, this is also a
To
nice
be honest,
addition.
that was one of my scenes. That you see like this object space. No, this application create object space.
Mhm.
Because, okay, and well, it's showing us a warning. Because first you need to think like how much time I have spent in stuff. That there was one moment that there was only one object space and one type. I mean, the type object space and one object space provider. Because the non-persistent object space provider came later. At the beginning, everything was handled by XPO non-persistent objects. So you never imagine that, okay, the types are associated with one specific object space, and non-persistent types are associated with a non-persistent object space, and the persistent types with the persistent object space. So of course, in here you need to tell it type of, and then missing constructor. That's the only class that we have. So and now it's good. So yep. To be honest, I think that 99% of the cases people will do something like this. But I wonder when it goes crazy, when this fails. Maybe when you do this and you try to use a non-persistent object space, then I wonder if then you get an exception.
No, I do have had this issue in the past, Jose, that especially when we have done object space provider and we create different object space and we have some custom logic, and then we're missing persistent with non-persistent. I have had the case where I'm asking create object space and I'm going to do something with non-persistent and it returns
And you get a different,
and it returns an XPO object space, and then I get the error that your object space doesn't handle this. Please add one to the additional object space to be able to.
You know, Javier, I wonder, like, because you can get, I know that the recommended way to use non-persistent classes right now is domain component with no base and the domain component attribute.
With the
non-persistent, the base, the
non-persistent
object, right? But what will happen if you use an XPO non-persistent? I mean, XPO with XPO-based object, and then
it works. It works, Jose. It still works. That's how we used to do it in the past, long time ago. Yeah. But it's not the recommended. And then, if you know, they have made, I think that in version.
No. What I'm trying to say, Javier, is that if you have that XPO object with the non-persistent attribute, and then each application right now has two object space providers, the non-persistent and the persistent, which one will get it? I think the XPO will get it in that case, not the non-persistent. What I'm trying to say is that in here, let's see, with application, where is that part where the, well, I'm not going to look for that right now, but I guess you can get mixed result because non-persistent is also a concept of XPO, and it's a different concept in SAF. It's not exactly the same. That's what I'm trying to say.
Anyway, if you, I send a link on the chat of the Zoom.
Mhm.
If you open that, I think that starting on version 20 point something, and it will tell there 20.2, they have made the I don't know, the checking of object space a lot more.
More tight.
Yeah, they actually check for everything there. So before you could get a vibe with a few of those mixing right now, if you have a non-persistent that have an object space link that it doesn't need, it complains. If you're not using the right object space, it complains. So this article kind of go and tell you what was the breaking chain and how to update it and make sure that you are using the right object space in the right place. And actually, it's even telling you in non-persistent, if you have an object space in the list view and you open a detail view, you have to create another object space, pass it to the detail view. So you cannot even share a few things. And before you used to be able to get by without that.
Yeah.
So,
and the thing is that I guess before you didn't even knew why it was working. Like sometimes it happens. It's like, okay, let's go to
the next one. That one, Hochi, I do believe it's just a matter of them having a lot of people asking why my connection string doesn't have my password property. And because there is no other way here. This is harmless. If you want to read the connection string, you can do it. You just won't find the password there because for sensitive and confidential information, you should not have that. It's a security concern. But
so in here, you mean like you get the application and the connection string?
Yeah, you can get that connection string and they was not going to give you any error or anything. It's just, it won't have all the values. You will have the password removed and that makes sense. So if you want to get the connection string completely, you should use one of those configuration manager or
you can, yeah, so you have to have the configuration manager and read the file and then you get it from there.
Exactly. So you have to be like really intentional that you want to get your password in the connection string. So I honestly believe this is something that they have been asked million times and they are like, stop it. Let's put something that if they're trying to read this, we let them know.
Let's see. Yeah, it's a warning.
Yeah.
That's a good one. So, okay, that was an easy one also. I will put this lower in complexity. But anyway, let's see.
And this one, if you have been using the older version of stuff and then you start using the new one as Hochi is doing now, it start complaining everywhere. As soon as you put the first association, it's telling you, where is the other one? I need to find the other class. So it's a great thing.
Yeah, because that happened to me one day. I told you, like, Javier, I don't know what happened. I was trying to do something and I could not put the attribute because it was complaining so much. And then you have that little delay before it disappears. And then you ask yourself, what is wrong? I mean, I wrote the property like 10 times before I understood.
Yeah, but you know how many times do you find out that you have an issue with one of the relationship at runtime when you run the application and you never, like, you create your classes, you create your relationship, run the application, and then it says, this relationship is not good. This one is not.
And you know that message about the inconsistent relationship or something like that is super cryptic.
Okay, but you can try. Create a relationship now. Let's see it.
Hold on, but Jean Paul just wrote something in the chat that he stole my idea because I was going to tell you that you used to support unnamed association. If there is one, if there was only one, like master and detail, you don't have to put the name. If you only have one collection of that detail type and one association with the master of that type.
I never like it. That was one of the pet peeves of mine, like association with non-naming. No. I never use it. But I know a lot of people that use it.
I never like it also, but you know why Jean Paul is mentioning that? Because it was on the documentation of domain components. They say that you just need to name it if you have more than one. So you used to have unnamed associations. So, okay, let's do this one. I'll copy. And then I will remove one to see if it complains. So let's rename this. So we have the name file to match the type. Yes. So here.
While you're doing that, Hoche, they are giving here in the conference cheesecake. So I'm gonna get a little bit while
go on grab.
I'll be back.
Okay, so they have like this. Well, we don't, it sucks, but okay, let's implement this. This should be just get set.
Yeah, I'm back.
That was fast. They were about to give it to you, like take it. Okay, so okay, Javier, something happened that when you try to save code or not typing something, it backfires. So I will. Okay, so we have this. Okay, so here we have XPCL of details. Okay, it's already complaining. So you were right. Let's copy this. XPA master. And yeah, now it's good. But let's see. Yeah, this was the error that I was getting last time, that I could not move because I thought, what does it mean? Why is it complaining? The association is right. And sometimes even when you do something like this really quick, it takes time for it to go away. Now it's working faster. I don't know for which reason, but yeah, I had, well, let's do it in the other way around.
Yeah, but I like it because as soon as you do the first part of the association, it's telling you don't keep, because I don't know, Joche, but I have done this in the past. I know the class, I have it on my mind. I have all the relationship. So I take the master class, I put all the properties, and then I put the first relationship, and then I put the second relationship, the third one, and I don't go to the other classes to put the association until I finish with this class. Then I go to the next one and I put the association back. And that sometimes makes you forget one of the relationship, and then you run it, and then you have the error, and then you have to go back, fix it. Right here, as soon as you do the first one, it's telling you go to the other one, fix it over there.
No, I mean, to be honest, it makes sense. But the thing is that this is the problem that happened with me, that I started by the detail when you have the one property. And I was thinking like, okay, why this is not working? And you know, like sometimes you don't read the messages. The message is there. It's kind of obvious. But let's see if it takes more time if we put it from here. No, it's the same. But I got stuck in there for some stupid reason. I thought, what is happening? I'm using XPA, the type exists. You know, I check everything but that. So you highlighted a good point that it happened as soon as you don't have the other side. So you will have it for like 5 minutes there until you finish your other side. So okay, that's good enough, I guess. Let's see. Association must not have.
Yeah, I think that basically that's it. When you have an aggregated association, the one part is not aggregated, it's the many. You have a parent with a lot of, okay, you see, that one is fine. It should be fine. Now, if you go to the other part and put the aggregated and the one, it should complain.
But you know that a few times by mistake, I've done the opposite. I've done this. And yeah, that's good. That's good because this will run. I mean, if you suppress it, that will run and you will have a really strange behavior. So yeah, that's this one is, yes, hat off for that. So let's see. Descendants of, we were talking about this, descendants of non-persistent base, object and non-persistent. This one is new for me. must be decorated with the domain component attribute. So this should be an error because it's not here. Both of them are the same. One is light, one is the other. So
It's just the domain component. Just add the attribute is the one who it tells SAF included in my model, included everywhere.
You know that to be honest, well, I guess they do it to. I mean, they use a lot of reflections to know the attributes on each object. I mean, on each class, because in here that attribute can be on the base class, and it's kind of valid in .NET. But I guess you have to be explicit because this one. Let's see if it. See, it has it. So no, but it has it. So basically, by inheriting from this, you inherit this behavior. But I guess for not going so deep on reflection or something like that, you have to put it explicit on the type. Because for me, this is totally valid case. But yeah.
And this is the right way to do non-persistent today.
And this is the right way. I think that I had a problem with the unchanged. That's why I did it in the other way. But well, it's time to move forward, maybe. No, it's time to move forward. It's not maybe. Okay, so 18. This one is a good one also. I see this many times. So people want to use a session. We can put this anywhere. And this one, yeah, because this is the default data layer, the one that ends up being an access file. So that's a no-no, even though in one of the practices said that, and maybe I can Google that really quick, XPO practices. That episode was a good episode, Javier. This one. So let's see, in here, okay, in here you said the default data layer to the one that you're creating. So then you're assuming that after this, you will create sessions of init of work using this data layer, which is, once you set it, it's not the one from Access. This can be Postgres, for example. This can be, I don't know, SQL Server. So then from this on, it means that when you do new session without data layer, you should get this one. But that in the XPO world should not be an error. And that's why this is SAF and not XPO. But in here, it should totally be an error. Because you don't want to do this. You want to get the data layer from someone else, from somewhere else, or someone else. And that, because then you need to connect it to the one that SAF has. There is another reason for that, and one of it is that well, the XPO dictionary cannot be modified on runtime. And if you do it in a different way, there is the possibility that you use a different dictionary than the one that should be there. That after the application is started should not be modified because the views are being created on that over that dictionary. So, okay.
This one, Hocha, I believe is a matter of, I don't know, not knowing how the explicit loading attribute works, because basically it's just telling you, don't use it if it's not a reference property. If you know the explicit loading, what it's going to do is going to bring everything in just one query. So if you load the master object and you're telling, bring me also the reference in just one, so that's perfect there. So in a primitive property, it doesn't make any sense. So basically,
and I guess you're just adding extra behavior that can end up being.
No, it has. I believe that it has no effect. That doesn't do anything. I mean, there.
I believe it has no effect in the end, but it means that they might have to do a lot of calculations to make sure that these. Yeah, because here doesn't make sense. It will be in the query anyway.
Yeah, so it's telling you like doesn't do anything.
Okay, so we are in 19. Let's go to 20.
Okay, that one is just the same thing. If you have a property that doesn't have a set, by default, it's non-persistent. So adding the non-persistent attribute on top is like, yeah, either way, I cannot save anything. I don't have a
It's
save.
kind of an overkill, but yes, for me to make a non-persistent, I will do it like this without the attribute.
The one below is the valid code that you have actually.
No, I know, but this is how I will do it without this, without any attribute, because not set, there is no column.
Exactly.
So in here, yeah, and if you have get and set, you have to put this, so it doesn't represent the column. So let's do the wrong case and see if get catch. I have a question here. How was the cheesecake? Did you actually try it or not?
Oh, yeah, I ate it completely. It's amazing. But everyone here at Microsoft Ignite is complaining because they gave no swag, no teacher, no backpack, no stickers, nothing. They want to be nothing. And they didn't allow the sponsors to give any swag, zero. They have to be.
Why? Because it's an environmental thing, or
yeah, for environmental. If the swag is not biodegradable, I don't know.
no, that
Decomposable,
kind of
decomposable. Look, everyone here is come and want to go back to his office and put a sticker on the desk and say, I went there, and they don't give any swag.
Part of going to a conference are the t-shirts that you're going to get from the conference and the stickers. And now with no stickers, that kind of sucks. Let's do.
Okay, that one. Let's skip that one. Let's skip that one because we have to create the topic class. Either way,
I was going to make it a string, but anyway, so it makes sense. It's not a big deal. I guess it's easy to understand without example. So 21. Create controllers correctly. What does it mean by create controllers correctly? Create new controllers correctly. So invalid code.
Never heard of it.
Create this view.
So if you do the controller without this controller, it gives you a warning. Let's see the valid one. So you are using the application create controller. So basically, Jose, that's the same thing about if you have an object space, the best way to do the create an object is object space create object. It's not new
yeah, because
object.
it needs to go through kind of the dependency injection of stuff somehow, because it will figure out a few things if it's there and so on and so forth. So yeah, you never use a new for those. I mean, for the controllers, you rarely have. This case is kind of, I will copy this part, but this case is kind of, it's not common. This is not something that I will do actually, or even in my crazy test, I will not do it. So let's see.
You have to put that inside a simple action.
Simple action.
Yeah, and if everyone is seeing, please use the new shortcuts for SAF. They make your life easier.
Yeah, don't drag and drop.
They won't be able to. There is no more designer for controllers. So
Type of
missing constructor.
Okay, so here is the one. Let me just, I want to see this working. So this should be the line.
No one tell her the happy hour, no one speaks about it.
Yeah, that's good enough. So Javier, it means that you will go home with no memories from being in Ignite.
Now, this video will remember me.
Yeah. Okay, that is good, of course, but it's something that I don't think is common that happens. Okay, so avoid using the show view strategy, show view method.
Okay, let's see the valid code.
Okay, let's see the valid code. Hold on. Invalid. You pass a view. Show view.
Show view strategy, show view pop-up. So,
Let's see what the problem description is. Avoid using. This is for internal use, so maybe you're
Mine's
too
a
deep
more
already.
When we're gonna
So it means that you need to go through the others one that show in pop-up view,
we barely have
show
budget
message,
for.
I guess. Okay, this one I guess is not super common at all. So basically this method you cannot use it, and then you have to use one of the methods that are in top of that. So any of these two. To be honest, I have never seen this in nature. I mean, in someone's code. So it's not something that is super common. And
I
this
do
one,
have,
Javier,
I
the
do
next
have
one,
used it.
you have used it.
I do have used it. So, but it seems that I shouldn't.
It's time to do confessions, right?
Hmm.
And okay, Javier, these are the winners of the night and the two
The
most
two last
interesting,
one.
I guess.
The two last one.
Yeah, the two last ones.
Now they're done.
So do not implement iObject space link. I will delete. I have a video that I recommend to use this from like 6 years ago. Okay, so you inject the object space link, and I used to think that, okay, if you have code or you have libraries, maybe you have helper classes that in the method receive an object space, you want to inject that object space in your persistent object. So you can use the same library that you use in a view controller at the business object level. But that seems to be wrong. I don't know if for all the cases is wrong.
I think, Jorge, the issue here is the article that I sent before about the base, the IOJ space link is something so entity framework. And actually, right now, entity framework, it will come with a base class that it will have I notify property chain, IOJ space link, and ISAF entity object already implemented. So in this case, I think that they are making really strict about what object space belong to what, and because the base object already come with the XPO object space, I think that having this sometimes has some mismatch, and they are trying to avoid you to go that route.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because so the right way is basically use session for that, and of course it makes sense. It's an abstraction. For me, it was just okay. You make a helper class, and then in your methods you receive an object space. That's why you want to have it on hand. But maybe it should be backwards. You should use a session and his child, which is unit of work. And then in the view controller, you should not use directly the object space. Maybe you should get the underneath unit of work and pass that to the helper class. So I was seeing it backwards. But this is really one of the most interesting actually for me from all of this. And let's go to the next one.
And the next one is the same, but with Safe entity object that basically give entity framework users a life cycle about the, instead of the after construction on saving, you will have on created, on saving, and I don't remember the on deleted.
Yeah. So basically it's the same. So this now they specify that this behavior is especially for entity framework. It's not for XPO because XPO already have that. I mean,
yeah, I already have those.
This will trigger twice or something like that. So
okay, Jorge, before we finish, because I have to go to speak like in
you need
20
to go
minutes.
And speak in
in 20 minutes. Yeah, I want to bring your attention to the project Diagnostics. If you open the one that is below, there are like, if you see, we jump from like SAF 04 to SAF 06, 07, so we missed like 06, 07, 08, and basically those are at the project level. Like sometimes you have this error that invalid platform, and it tell you, hey, change the target to any CPU because that's giving you an issue. The build action for the model, hey, it has to be an embedded resource. The Visual Studio version is not supported because .NET 6 is not installed. It's telling you, hey, you have to install .NET 6. So they already have some analysis for that. So this is really nice that it's at the project level, not at the class level. So you know that it's something that you have to change on your project configuration to make your project work.
I just need one person who can build the machine.
Okay, so I think with that we should wrap up, Javier. I think that we at least we cover one of the parts, and we have a lot of things to cover regarding this.
And this one is just like 4, and it's telling you right there. It's really self-explanatory. So do you read the comment from Jean Paul?
Let's see.
Oh my God.
Find object space.
So you're telling, hey, give me the object space for this object. I have
This
used
is
it as well.
already created.
I have
Okay.
used it as well, Jean-Paul.
Okay,
Okay.
so
So I thank you for sticking with us. Sorry for the Zoom link at the beginning, and for I always like to have these meetings. We always take almost 2 hours, but today we are a little.
and hold on, if everyone, 1 second, Javier, the
Let's
picture, we
stop.
have pictures for all of them. So if
Okay,
you want
let's
to turn
stop
on
there.
your camera, Kid, you're always with us. You're in every picture with us. So Walter, nice to see you. So 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3 again. Okay, so now we have hold on, Lemso is there and Evaristo. So again, 1, 2, 3, everyone smile. I have to put 2 now because everyone is showing and leaving. So I will put both.